Hi guys, welcome back to At Home with Holly. My name's Holly and I'm so glad that you're here with me today. Today we're going to start off somewhere different. We're going to go into my spare room, which is where I keep a whole bunch of boxes and stuff that I don't need. It's like a storage room. However, right now it has some very special little friends in it. So I wanted to take you in so you could meet them.
So we have two blue Americanas. I know, I'm talking. Hi. And we have these two in the front are two black copper Marans. And they're a week old. And they're very, very cute and friendly. And they have automatic feeders and manual feeder things. And they have little waters and big waters. And they have our heating plate. And they have this, which Olivia calls the Mama Tutu, which makes them feel happy like they're underneath a mom. And I just fed them some eggs for some treats, and they're very happy. And we're excited to have them. These little Americanas with their little bearded faces are just kind of the cutest things ever.
Okay, so the next logical place we should go is to where the rest of the chickens are. Hi, girls. So we have one. This is Buffy. She is our an Easter egger. We have another Easter egger. We have two Buff Orpingtons, and then two Olive Eggers. So we will have 10 total when the ones from inside are all done growing their feathers. Okay, so around the chicken coop, we have what's the startings of a cottage garden, and that'll come out in another video, but we're planting a whole bunch of perennials around the front and wrapping around this corner of the chicken coop to make it a little more pretty. So a whole bunch of perennials that are dog safe, chicken safe, etc. And then over here we have our green stock with strawberries. This did pretty well. I don't think I watered it enough, so I did have to transplant, and it looks like I have to do a couple more. Some sad, crispy deaths. So we have another asparagus bed over there. So I just transplanted some starts into that. So over here we have two brassica cages. So we have some cabbage, some Brussels sprouts, and it looks like ready to harvest cauliflower in there. And we have another cabbage and another one behind it. And then looks like I am neglecting my watering duties, but our violas are looking a little crispy. So we'll get done some water. We have our fake wasp nest so that wasps don't build homes. The carpenter bees and stuff don't build homes here, which is super problematic for a lot of my neighbors. So luckily with this little fake thing, we haven't had that problem. So we will walk over to the garden. We're going to start off in Olivia's bed. Actually, we'll start off with the potatoes and then Olivia's bed. Okay, so our potatoes probably have about 3 more weeks. We've got 2 kinds of russets and then it's not a Kennebec, it's in like an improved Kennebec, and so I forget what it's called right now. But we have got 3 types of potatoes growing in there. And then we have Olivia's bed, which is a pollinator haven. So she's got cosmos, zinnias, Look at some of these doubles. She's got the double zinnias, and these were pink lemonade, I think. Really pretty. She also has some snapdragons that are taking over and going into the walkways. I did put some random green bean plants in here because I had extra, but I don't know that they're actually going to get picked because they're kind of in the middle of the bed. But so this is her bed, and then growing over the top of it, there are just two birdhouse gourd plants that have completely taken over her cattle panel trellis. This is a half cattle panel, so it's only 8 feet bent over it to support, and it is just crazy big and really happy. It has grown over and then back over again. So yeah, I planted some mallard bar spinach. You can see right there that they never really took off because this birdhouse gourd just took over. But it creates this really nice like shady area for the lettuces to still be growing and not bolting. So that is a nice bonus. So we're excited to be able to harvest all of these gourds. Hopefully a few of them make it. And we'll be able to dry them out and make birdhouses out of them, which will be fun. So then the next bed at the end of it has some sweet potatoes slips that the bunny rabbits ate 3 times, and I've had to replace them. We grew our own, and then the bunny rabbits ate them. And then I put more in, and the bunny rabbits ate them. Then I went to the store and got more. The local nursery and got more. And then I covered them with the bug netting. And so far, they've left them alone. So they're a couple weeks, maybe 2 weeks behind where they would have been, but they still have plenty of time to catch up. And then that is a thirsty tray of extra flowers that need to go in the ground. These I pulled up from the front yard, so we'll see what happens with them. But over here we have the straw flowers, which I only planted because I wanted to hear that noise. That noise when you run your fingers over them, but they're so beautiful. I think we've got 3 or 4 different types of them, so that's going to be cool. I threw a couple extra peppers, like bell peppers, in this bed, so those are going to be coming up. And then this is our elephant garlic. Only about half of it made it through the winter. This is my second time planting elephant garlic. About half of it made it through, and um, it's it's showing signs of being ready to harvest a little earlier than I want, but that's okay. So usually when it's like 3 or 4 of these lower leaves die off, and so far we've had 2 of them. So usually it's 4th of July, but this is the first half of June, and I think it's going to be a little earlier. So inside there we have 3 Brussels sprouts, and 2 types of kale. We have the flat leaf kind and the curly leaf kind, which I am almost 100% growing for the chickens. I don't love kale. I'll eat it, but I don't love it. Um, except for that kale salad from Costco. That stuff's really good, but most of it's for the chickens as a treat for them. Okay, coming over from the elephant garlic and brassica, we come over to our garlic bed. This is hardneck and softneck garlic mixed together, and we have some zinnias planted on the end, and then of course more sweet potato slips. But again, the garlic it's doing great, but I don't think it's going to make it to July 4th. So I'll pull up some and test in about a week or so and see if it's ready, because I don't want it to go too long and split. Ooh, looks like I missed escape. So half of this is hardneck, so we're able to get the scapes for yummy eating. So that's always a little treat. Oh, I see a couple more that I missed. I'll have to get those. In the past, I've always dehydrated them and made them into like garlic powder, but this year I made them into pesto, and it is definitely a strong garlic flavored pesto, but it's really good. I think a dab will do you though. It's more like it tastes really like garlicky, like more like a toom, but just another. Oh gosh, I missed a lot of them. Another way to use up like a bonus harvest, if you will, from the garlic. So got a couple more of these. We'll carry them with us as we go. Okay, so these next two beds, they look crazy right now. I interplant, meaning that I plant things really, really closely to like shade out as a living mulch. Um, and it all is ready at different times. So on the outside, we have garlic on this side. Down the middle, we have 2 rows of carrots that only have a couple weeks left on them, if that. And then everywhere that you see the wooden stakes, we have our tomatoes. And so these are our indeterminate tomatoes. When the garlic comes out, I usually do a fall crop of determinate tomatoes. So these are all indeterminate minus, I think, 2 tomatillos that are more of a bush style. But so right now it looks crazy, but what's going to happen is the carrots and the garlics are going to come out, and there's going to be such great airflow underneath, and it's going to help us kind of keep the blight at bay and stuff. But starting on the edge, we have our dill, which I like cooking with dill, and then we also keep it as a host plant for the swallowtails. My daughter really likes to hatch and release the swallowtails. And then we have some marigolds. Like I said, we have the 2 rows of carrots, and then we have 24 varieties of tomatoes that we planted. So we have striped Roma, moonbeam cherry tomatoes, blue beach paste tomatoes. I think we have 3 or 4 other kinds of cherry tomatoes. I planted them together with you guys, so I'll link that video so you guys can see all the tomatoes that we planted. But they're doing really well, and then we trellis them up, these furring strips, so that they'll grow up, and then we'll top them when it's too hard for me to climb a ladder to get them. So these are doing really well. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 tomatoes in this one, and then 12 tomatoes and tomatillos in this one, and then 2 tomatoes in that one, but we'll get to those. So over here on this side, it is open, and I'm probably going to plant some cilantro there because it gets a little bit of shade and it won't bolt. Hopefully that's what I did last year and it worked really well. And then we have this first of our full-size cattle panel trellises, and on this first one we have watermelon, sugar baby watermelon, so they're personal size. All of our melons are personal size, but once they do start to develop, we'll go ahead and put some little mesh bags on them so that they stay up. So we have sugar baby watermelons, and then we have Prescott Fond Blanc melons. And I think those are the only 2 on this side of the trellis. And then on this side of the trellis, we have Kajari melon, which I love. The Kajari melon and sweet passion melon. So these are my 2 tried and true favorite types of melon that we've grown in the past. They're really sweet, really delicious, personal size, easy to grow. I just kind of love them a lot. And I like the way they look going up the trellis and kind of covering it. So that'll be cool. And then over in this bed, we have more of our indeterminate tomatoes. So I have our ox heart shape, the orange and pink ox heart, and a few other varieties. Also interplanted, I forgot, there's some basil, which is kind of getting crowded out right now by the carrots. But once the carrots leave, they'll be able to shine a little more. But over in this bed on the edge, we have more basil. Down the middle, we have more basil and carrots. We have nasturtiums. And then these are, this is a fairy bed that my daughter has. And it's got little dry, but normally little watering stations for all the bees and the pollinators and little gnomes everywhere. But we also sprinkled a whole bunch of echinacea or coneflower seeds there, and they have all come back. So that's exciting. This side has more of our indeterminate tomatoes, and then on the end we have tomatillos that are going crazy, and then we have onions. This is our first encounter with the onions, but it won't be the last on this door. So these are our red onions. We have red and white. We have Patterson onions, and then we have Red Wing. And so these are our red wings. These are really good storage onions, so they'll keep for a long time before you have to harvest them, which is nice. This next bed, we have our thyme, oregano, garlic chives, parsley, and then we have our sub pod in-ground worm bed, which is a really nice composting system that we have. We do our in-ground worms over there. And then we also have our geo bins. We have 2 geo bins set up over there that we do as well. And I like kind of having both. So I'll do more like cardboard and grass clippings and stuff that comes out of the garden into the big bins. And then for our food scrap stuff that I want to get eaten right away and not have a smell really, I put in the in-ground one, and it makes this beautiful worm compost that is, there's gallons and gallons and gallons of it in there right now, just ready to harvest and top the beds with. So that's like free fertilizer. So that's awesome. Okay, so all of these plants that are laying over, these are shallots. We planted 2 kinds of shallots. These are shallots that we've been planting from year to year, and they're more of like the round ones. And I wanted to try the longer banana ones, but we had all these. So these, when their necks go soft and they flop over, they are done. So later today, I'm going to harvest them all and just lay them out flat in the bed and let them dry there, because we're not supposed to get any rain. It's supposed to be in the 90s, basically, the high 80s and low 90s for a week. So I'm going to let them just dry in place. And then after a couple of days, I will hang them in my garage, and I will show you the hanging system that we have there. So this is some salvia. We've got some cone flowers here, and then a volunteer dill. And volunteers, I love a volunteer, so I just let it go. Over in this bed, this is our pepper bed. It does have one basil in it. But so these have bell peppers, all different colors. We have purple ones. We have the green ones. We have red ones. We have the lime green ones. I don't know what those are called. I forget. And we have coral peppers. We have jalapenos. We have just an amazing assortment. I think the jalapenos are already pretty big and ready in there. And then I had 2 extra tomato plants. So we've got 2 tomatoes staked up in the same way. This was our spring lettuce, but it didn't really germinate really well. I had some older packets that I wanted to use up. So I replanted some beets under this one and another row of lettuce, and I just am kind of trying to keep it shaded and wet so that it will germinate. But if it doesn't, that's okay, because we have the other bed. We have the other bed, actually Olivia's bed, that has a really great amount of lettuce in it already. So if it doesn't germinate, that's okay. But let me take you around the other way so you can see what's on the trellis. Okay, so this trellis has melons growing up. So there's tons more peppers over here. And then our first melon is honey rock cantaloupe melon. That's what the tag says. And our second one is Pie di Sapo, I think, melon. I think that's how you say it. So these are taking over this trellis as well. And then there's 2 more kinds of melons over here. There are Delice de la Tabla or Tabla melon, and what do we have here? Corrientes melon, not sure how you pronounce that one. So these are doing well over here. Inside this box, there are 3 Brussels sprouts. And then this brassica box had a ton of cabbages that we already harvested, but we still have 3 more in there growing really nicely. And I use these cages to protect from the cabbage moths because it's a real thing here. Here we have some rudbeckia. This, I think this is cherry brandy rudbeckia. And then we had some that self-seeded from last year as well. So we'll see what that one turns into. These are our snap peas. They're almost done, because when the 90 degrees hits, they're not going to make it. So while we have them, they're an excellent garden snack, but they're not going to be here for much longer. But I did plant them on the back side of the brassica cages to give them a little bit of shade, to try to keep them a little while longer, but I think when the 90 degrees hits, there's not much you can do. So the beans are over here. Sorry, snap peas are over here. Then over here we have our cucumbers. And so we have three types of cucumbers. We have the Corinthos, which are super productive. And there's already 4 or 5 of them ready on there. And then we have the unagi, which are like the long English style ones. And those are just starting. And then we have a whole bunch of the little pickling ones. And we've got those, got a few ready to harvest as well. So it's pickle time, basically. We've got a few more underneath. It's pickle time, which is perfect because we're out of pickles that we made last year. So that's really good timing. And then on the rest of the bed, so on the front of this bed, we've got more of the red wing onions. And I think, yeah, this whole bed is red wings. And then when you get to here, there's some Zabroon shallots, which are the more banana shaped ones, like elongated ones, which are easier to peel. So I'm excited about those. And then we've got some celery back here as well, and some weeds that need taken care of in the walkways. On the end of this bed, there's some coneflowers, echinacea that reseeded from last year. And then the next bed is our strawberry asparagus bed. Now, truth be told, I did this as an experiment when I first planted them, and it's a really good idea in theory. Like in theory, the strawberries mulch the asparagus kind of shades out the strawberries a little bit so it keeps them cooler, kind of keeps them hidden from the birds. That all works really well. But the asparagus ferns, when you reach through them, they're kind of like itchy and annoying. So it's not my favorite place to harvest the strawberries from, especially now that we have them in the green stock. So this fall, after the asparagus is already turned brown and is done, I am going to go in and take out all the strawberries and put them in some vertical planters or other places, because I just would rather harvest them from somewhere else and get more from them, because right now a lot of them are going to bugs and stuff because I'm not harvesting them because it's not my favorite place to harvest from. So anyway, it works really well in theory though. And if I had maybe longer, skinnier rows, I definitely would do this. But for an 8x4 bed, I think it's just far enough to be kind of annoying to reach into the middle. So, but anyway, it works really well for growing conditions though. So this one is our strawberry and asparagus perennial bed. And you can see that they are very happy this year, and we have tied up with some posts to kind of keep them contained to make them less irritating when we harvest strawberries, but still, it's a little bit crazy. And then over here are, I'm hoping these are asters that are coming back. Yeah, asters that are coming back from last year. And then this is another onion bed. These are Patterson onions, and the bunnies have been in here. So they're not growing perfectly straight up anymore, but they'll be fine. They'll still taste good. We've got tons of onions, so they might not bulb up quite as big as they normally would have because these were huge last year, but it'll still be fine. And then the back half of the bed is our sweet corn. So we have, I think these are candy sweet corn. Maybe I'll have to look that one up and put it on the screen, but these are the sweet corn, one variety. I believe we planted like 90 something, and we got probably like 70-80% germination, and they were old seeds, so I'll take that. I think carrots and corn are two of the things that you don't really want older seeds because they don't germinate as well. But I'll take 70-80% better than if it just sat in the ground and sat in the house and didn't get planted. Oh, I wanted to show you, we do have some bee balm. One of the things I'm most excited to planting in this cottage garden is the bee balm and the lavender. So I'm excited about those to be adding to. And I think I have some calendula starts too. And a whole bunch of like Shasta daisy starts that there's so many that I'm going to be planting them along the fence line. But speaking of the fence line, so you go from the potato bed to our fence line, and this field is owned by a school, and they spray it and they maintain it with stuff that I probably wouldn't want in my garden. So I wanted to plant like a buffer. So along this row, there's about a foot of wildflowers. And so it's overplanted, but whatever comes up, comes up. So there's some sunflowers, and there's some cosmos. I did plant a whole bunch of sweet peas, but I don't think any of them came up. So there's these beautiful cosmos, and then there'll be like a hole, and then We do have some milkweed that's naturalized here. And then I added in some of the different cosmos. There's the white, there's the pink lemonade again. We have our milkweed, more cosmos, and then they'll self-seed all along here, which is great too. Lots of cosmos, and we had some Sweet William, I think, that might be coming back. And there's some zinnias. I did plant a whole packet of sunflower seeds, but I don't think any of them have come up yet, so we'll see. And then we have, oh, that might be a sweet pea that made it. We'll see. But there's a ton of, like I said, cosmos, asters, zinnias, some blue bachelor buttons, more sunflowers. And so we'll just see. We'll just see what comes up. So that's the fence line. And then I have a row of arborvitae, just so that a little bit as they grow, it can be a little bit of a green screen, a living fence. So we have the buffer, if you will, between the school and the spraying and all that stuff. And then we have, and the sunflowers are known to pull toxins out of the ground. And then we have a little bit of space that can expand over time, and these will grow out and kind of come across, and there'll be just enough room that if I need to mow, I can, or I can just let it all go to wildflower. We'll see. But so I've got 20 arborvitae there. And then we have 2 of the pink flowering dogwoods that we planted. And so those will get, 15 to 20, maybe even taller feet tall, and create some nice shade because there's no shade here. So I wanted some shade just to be able to enjoy this living space a little bit. So a little bit of shade there. And then we have our first garden bed along this wall. And this whole wall is berries and fruit, except for this one, because I wasn't sure what berry or fruit to plant in it. So this season I stuck our leftover onions in it. And I'm happy with that decision because you can never have too many onions. We do plant the storage kind, like I said, but anything that's not going to keep, I will dice up and vacuum pack and freeze, or turn into caramelized onions and freeze them like that, or pickled onions that I can. So we have tons of uses for onions, plus we love onions. So you can never have too many of those. But after the first bed, there are blueberries, there's pink lemonade, these North County or North Star blueberries, I forget, and then jelly bean blueberries as well. So there's 2 blueberry plants, 2 blueberry plants, blueberry, 2 in each one. And then around it, we have the alpine strawberries, which are this yellow variety, and they're different. They taste delicious, but they taste like a strawberry and a pineapple had a baby. They're really good. So I've been enjoying those. I've picked probably like a gallon of them already, and I have them in the freezer because I don't know what to do with them because I keep eating them, and then I'm like, I should turn these into something because that would be a different flavor profile for a jam. So if any of you guys have good recipes for that type of strawberry jam, let me know. But so anyway, when you keep going on the fence, we do have grapes. I have 3 grape plants planted. So this is their first season. So they will grow up and hit this first wire on our trellis. We have a trellis that runs all the way down. So they'll hit this first one and they'll branch out side to side, and then they'll grow up to the second one, branch out side to side, and the grapes will all hang down. So that'll be lovely. This is a fig tree that I thought was dead, but it's not. Mulberry tree, thought that was dead, but it's not. This is our second grape plant right there. These are our golden raspberries. So these are like raspberries, but sweeter. Again, totally different flavor profile. I like them a lot. I need to try to get them inside to make a jam out of them. But right now, these are our first ones of the season, so it's hard to not snack on them. Over here, there are 2 blackberries here, 2 blackberries there. And then we have two currants in that bed with a ton more of the alpine strawberries all the way around. This first tree is a plum tree. All of the trees in our orchard are dwarf size or semi-dwarf, but I'm going to keep them pruned to dwarf. So that one is a plum. That one is an ever-bearing mulberry. This one is a peach. This one is a cherry. So again, plum, mulberry, peach, cherry. And then we have a pear. And then we have our fig that's in the ground. We have a honeycrisp apple, a Fuji apple, and then these two are the two that we just planted together. So one of them is a McIntosh and one of them is a Jonagold. And I took the tags off and I don't know which one's which. So, but either way, they're all going to be delicious once they grow up. And they're all pollinators for each other, which works out really well because I was mainly concerned. Did I say Gala or Fuji? This is a Fuji. This bare root one is a Fuji. But I was concerned because I had a Jonathan apple here and it died or was dying. So when I pulled it out, I was not going to have a pollinator for the Honeycrisp, and no pollinator means no fruit. Now, my neighbors do have apple trees, but I'm not sure which varieties they have, and I wanted to guarantee that they had a pollinator just in case my neighbors decided to take them out one day or whatever. I just wanted to make sure that I had my own pollinators. And then these ones just jumped in my car. So that we have more. So they're all going to pollinate each other, which is good. So we have 4 apple trees, different varieties, different things. So once they start coming in, since they're dwarf or semi-dwarf, now whichever one is the McIntosh is a semi-dwarf. The Jonagold is not. It's the only apple tree I have that's not either a dwarf or a semi-dwarf, but all fruit trees can be pruned to make them dwarf size. So you can kind of determine. I've seen people on videos that make them all like 4 feet tall. I'm not going to do that, but they're all going to be, less than 7 or 8 feet tall so that I don't have to be climbing up on a ladder to harvest fruit when now I'm in my 40s. I don't want to do it now, but I definitely don't want to do it later. So whichever one of those is not a dwarf tree will still get pruned the same way, but McIntoshes are already semi-dwarf, so it'll all be okay. Not too much pruning to do. Editing Holly here. I actually, when we were done shooting this video, I decided to do like a quick little mini harvest, and I was like, oh my gosh, I got to show my friends what came out of our garden because we've been working on this together. So we had all this beautiful fruit. We had this beautiful cauliflower. I think that's probably the prettiest cauliflower I've ever grown. We had these 2 huge cabbages. We had all of these cucumbers. We had a little bit of broccoli. And so I blanched everything except the cabbage. The cabbage I just shred and chopped because I'm going to vacuum pack that and freeze it just as it is. But the cucumbers we're going to get washed up and put in the fridge for cucumber salad. And then the pickling cucumbers, I actually make this saltwater brine. And I cut off the blossom ends, stick them in the saltwater brine, and I'll keep collecting them for a week before I turn them into pickles. And so I just keep this saltwater brine in my fridge ready to go. But I wanted to show you guys what we made and what we grew, because we grew this together. So I wanted to share it with you. So that's what we got going on out here. We got a ton of fun projects coming up. So if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Thanks for all the likes and the comments and the shares. Can't wait to see you guys next time. Bye, friends.